We are taking off with episode 68 on the Air Hug Community Podcast. Oh, hey, welcome. If you're new here, this is the Air Hug Community Podcast, and my name is Judy Arazosa. I am your host and virtual cheerleader. I would like to thank you for popping in and giving your time to a little listen here today. And just so you know, our goal here is to gear you up for a better day, a better week, a better month, and a better year. So here on the Air Hug Community, we focus on stories from guests and myself that touch on living well from your 20s all the way up until age 100. And let's not even limit it there. We cover all topics related to physical and emotional health. And a lot of the topics we cover are generated from Q&A sessions I have with my clients and also with conversations that I have with my BFFs on our walks that we love to take to stay connected. Hey there. Okay, I have a quick question before we get started because this has been bugging me and I want to know, are you team multitasking or team doing one thing at a time and doing it well? And I have to tell you, I have to be team one thing at a time and doing it well because my mind can't process more things than one. And I just have to share this story with you because it was so crazy. And I thought I was going to be mad. I'm like, you know what? I just have to laugh at the fact that I actually thought I could do two things at one time. So I'll give you the background. It's a Wednesday late afternoon, and Wednesdays at 5:30 p.m. I teach in person for our small group training class. And so it occurred to me that I had planned that we were going to have salmon for dinner, but I had forgotten to take it out of the freezer. So I get it in these little individual packages. So I took the salmon out, 2 pieces for my husband and I put it in the sink and I turned the water on and I'm like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom and I had to actually brush my teeth. That's another story because I'm wearing Invisalign, so I'm always like brushing my teeth. But anyways, apparently I got totally off track, forgot that the water was on, came back to the kitchen several minutes later to find my dog lapping up water on the floor, but there was like way more water on the floor than I even want to admit. It was like Niagara Falls coming out of the sink. So I'm like, okay, grab all the towels I can, wipe up the floor. The floor is like really clean now. The dogs like are helping. And I'm like, okay, all right, I think I'm done. I go to open a drawer, right? And I open the drawer and it's full of water. Oh my God. I'm like, can you even believe this? And I thought, okay, well, that's one whole drawer's worth of water that I don't have to worry that actually would go through. So for those of you who don't know, our workout studio is in the lower level of our home. So anytime we have any kind of a flood in the kitchen, it goes to the gym. So I'm like, okay, all right, that's fine. So my husband comes in and he sees me cleaning up and he's like, not even going to ask. I'm like, yeah, don't even ask. He's like, I'm just going to take some towels and go to the basement. So, all right. Gets that cleaned. I get that drawer cleaned up. And then I go to open the cupboard below the drawer. And our cupboard has these like little pull-out shelves. So they're kind of like little self-contained with little, fortunately, they have little lips on them. And that was filled with water too. Another giant puddle. I'm like, okay, well, there's another puddle that actually didn't go down to the basement. But the point of my story is I am not team multitask because I cannot do one thing and think that I'm going to remember or come back to it in a timely fashion unless I set a timer. And that's something else. I love setting the timer to remind me to do things because apparently my short-term memory is just not very focused. But I'm not going to say it's because of age because honestly speaking, I've always been that way. So I want to talk today about investing in your future. Now, this is not a financial podcast, but I'm going to draw a nice little parallel between investing in your future in different ways. So when you invest in your future, right, you invest for retirement, It's not an afterthought. It's not a hobby. Am I right? So at least I certainly hope not. And it's not something that you put off. So we all know that the longer you put into retirement, the earlier you start, the more you get out of it. Well, very quickly, I'm just going to say fitness is the same way. The longer you invest in your health and fitness, the more you have in the bank to draw on in your later years. And so one of the things that really, really irks me is when people say, oh, that's nice that fitness is your hobby. I'm like, no, it's not our hobby. It's not anyone's hobby. It's it is investing in your future self so that, maybe you're going to have money to live on, but you also need to be able to have the health to enjoy it, right? So when you're investing in your health and fitness, I want you to think of this. You're investing in your brain health, you're investing in your bone strength, you're investing in your balance, your mobility, your posture. You are minimizing your risk for depression. So why did I say all that? Because it's not anything you haven't heard before. Because if you don't have any of these things, if you don't have brain health, if you don't have bone strength, if you don't have balance, if you are not mobile, in other words, if you're stiff and immobile, if your posture is very rounded over, if you are always depressed and sad and have trouble with that, what good are your later years going to be? They're going to suck. If you haven't done things in your earlier years to go ahead and plan on improving those for later. So most recently, we've been talking about this a lot. Oh, also sleep quality in previous podcasts. So episode 65, we talked about sleep. Episode 63, we talked about brain health. Episode 66 was all about rocking our midlife. Episode 60 was a great episode on why detoxes they don't have a place in health and fitness, why it's better to just play the long game. We're not aiming for a number on a scale, right? And episode 64 was all about motivation. So I just wanted to refer to all those because they actually are all ways that you can learn to contribute to investing in a better future life. And so this is a very quick episode, but what I want you to realize is that fitness is not your hobby, okay? It is something that you need to invest in, just like you need to invest in your future financial status. You need to invest in your future health. And so what we're getting away from, and I want to get away from, but you really have to turn a blind eye to a lot of these the weight loss industry, because it's not weight loss. We're not trying to lose weight, we're trying to gain health. Okay, and so when you eat for better health, for example, better brain health, for example, to sleep better, for example, to fuel your workouts, right? You're eating for better health, you're moving for better health, you're moving and getting involved in a workout program that's written for you, for your ability and for you, so that you have strong bones, so that you maintain your balance, so that you maintain your mobility and good posture, and so that you maintain muscle strength, because you need that bone and muscle strength to actually be upright. And you also need to maintain muscle strength because, as you've heard this before, there's a little term called sarcopenia, which really means that as adults, we naturally begin to lose muscle in very small amounts, but beginning at around age 30. And if we aren't doing anything to maintain our muscle, then we're contributing to eventual muscle and bone loss. So that's what we're talking about. All of these things are part of a health and fitness investment in our future. So just keep that in mind, especially with the holidays coming up. And then what you're going to see is you're going to, after the holidays, every year comes all of the weight loss propaganda. And I don't want you to think about getting healthy in terms of weight loss. I want you to think of getting healthy because you're investing in a better future life for yourself. One where you're not watching from the sidelines, one where you're not at risk for developing things like diabetes and heart disease and stroke. This is why you want to get on board with a health and fitness program. And I want to just say one more thing that I'm going to allude to and we will talk in depth about in a future episode, is that when you go to do your workout and when you go to eat day by day, yes, eating should be delicious, okay? And your workout should be something that you enjoy without a doubt. But the fact of the matter is that you do have to repeat workouts and exercises and programs over and over again in order to realize improvement. So in order to progress, you have to keep doing the same thing. So if you never do the same workout twice, yes, you're going to be entertained and you may enjoy some workouts more than others, but if you're a beginner, that's great and you can get away with that as a beginner. But as you become more of an intermediate and more into your fitness, where you're not a newbie anymore, you do need to have consistency with your programming. So that's very, very important. And so I don't want you to think about jumping on a bandwagon and doing the next fad fitness thing or the next fad diet, because those things are not going to serve you well long term. And what we're here for is actually to improve our life long term. We're here to put in the fitness bank so that we can draw from it in our later years. Capiche? All right, ta-ta for now. Listen, thank you very much for tuning in today. This was short, it was brief, it was to the point, but it's been bugging me because I know this time of year, if you're listening to this when it first comes out, this is going to be late in 2021, and we're going to start hearing any minute now about all of these programs that are going to guarantee fast fat loss, fast weight loss, blah, 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 blah. And those things are not going to serve you well long term. So I just would be negligent if I didn't share this episode with you at this time of year. All right. Thank you for listening. Please share this episode and have a good week. I will see you next Tuesday.